Breaking news out of Hong Kong this half hour, taking a live look at the Hong Kong airport where all flights are canceled for the second day in a row as demonstrators stage a days-long sit-in. Many alleging police brutality over the weekend. Joining me now, Fox News senior strategic analyst, chairman for the Institute for the Study of War, and retired four-star general Jack Keane. General, always a pleasure to see you. What do you make of these ongoing protests in Hong Kong and how that plays out in China and our relationship and trade negotiations with China, because it's all connected?
Well, first of all, I mean, the people of Hong Kong really have drawn a line here. I mean, they believe that their personal freedoms and liberties are what the issue is here. There's been a gradual erosion of it for 10 years, and when China came up with the extradition law being administered by their local official, Carrie Lam, they drew the line right there because they knew that China then was busting their judicial system, which was based on democracy and something we're very familiar with. So that's really what the issue is here. And I think what they're trying to do is get the world's attention, certainly, to put pressure on China. China issue is simply this. While the protests are going on in Hong Kong and may have some impact economically in Hong Kong, is that spreading to mainland China? And China, to this day, is still controlling the narrative quite a bit. The initial protests, when there was no violence involved whatsoever, were not exposed to the mainland Chinese. Since there has been some violence, that is what the focus has been on in terms of national television in China. And what they're trying to make certain of is that there's no empathy that's developed among the mainland Chinese for what's taking place in Hong Kong. 1 million mainland Chinese travel to Hong Kong every month. So the fact that they're not able to get in there, or maybe some of them can't get out of there, is likely aggravating them as opposed to having sympathy for the protesters. So I don't see mainland China taking any action until such time as they believe this is jeopardizing their control and hold over the mainland Chinese people, which is really their major issue.
How does that, General, how do you think it impacts our negotiations with China? Any pressure that is on President Xi Jinping?
Well, I think there is some pressure on him, but I think it's unfortunate that the president and his team hasn't spoken up very loudly in sympathy for the protests. After all, when you look at what the difference between China and the United States is, fundamentally at its core are the clash of values between both countries, very similar to what we have with the Soviet Union during the Cold War. And those clash of values, the front line for them right now is right in Hong Kong. And I think we should be standing up for the protesters who are fighting for their liberty and for their freedom and for due process in their judicial system. And we haven't truly done that. So I think that would actually put more pressure on President Xi and add to the leverage that the United States wants to have over China, as opposed to possibly backing away from those kind of statements because we think it would complicate the negotiations.
I want to turn to Russia, General. President Trump confirming an advanced nuclear-powered cruise missile exploded during testing in Russia last week, writing on Twitter this: "The United States is learning much from the failed missile explosion in Russia. We have similar, though more advanced, technology. The Russian Skyfall explosion has people worried about the air around the facility and far beyond. Not good." The explosion believed to have killed at least 7 people. The Wall Street Journal has an editorial about it today, writing, "The reality is that Russia under Vladimir Putin is breaking out of arms control restraints to develop new weapons and the means to deliver them. He can't be trusted to follow new treaties, as his violations show. The salient question is whether the U.S. will also develop the weapons and defenses to prevent Mr. Putin from gaining a military advantage." What is your reaction to this? What do you make of it?
Well, first of all, the Russians do have capability of developing advanced technology. They always have, particularly anything that concerns rockets and missiles. I believe what's happened here, the Russian safety standards are far below the international best-in-class standards, and particularly the United States, and they've had repeated incidents dealing with issues like this. What they are developing is a cruise missile, which I think our viewers have seen many times fired from our submarines and surface ships, and also from airplanes, and you can fire them obviously from ground stations as well. But this missile, as opposed to having a normal fuel propellant, would have a nuclear reactor in it, would give it unlimited range. It could circumnavigate large swaths of the globe and then deliver a missile at an unexpected location and make it very difficult to ever track it and therefore intercept it. So that's the goal. The problem is they had problems last year with a missile test failure. Now we've had problems with the fuel system. The United States scientists and engineers looked at this a number of years ago, Dagan, and abandoned it after some trial and experimentation themselves, thinking that the technology is just not achievable. So it remains to be seen whether they're going to do it. The larger issue is what the Wall Street Journal is talking about. Russia seems to be pulling away from any sort of arms control, and wants to build advanced technology to take advantage of the United States' capabilities. And clearly the United States has got to match them, because what we're after is we want to avoid conflict. And after 40-plus years of the Cold War, the thing that has instructed us the best way to avoid that conflict is to have a capable deterrence. In other words, impose cost on Russia if they ever intended to pull a trigger against the United States, and make that cost unacceptable to them.
Well, then, are you, in terms of the increase in defense spending, that's part of that, is it not, General?
Yeah, I think the thing that Putin pays attention to more than anything else, our rhetoric, other actions that we're taking, is the defense budget. In his rearview mirror is the Reagan defense budget of the 1980s. He was serving in the Soviet Union at that time in the KGB, and he saw how that defense budget influenced the Soviet Union, the U.S. defense budget. It did not bring down the Soviet Union by itself, but it was certainly an enabler. And the fact that the Trump team has got an extenuated defense budget buildup is absolutely the right thing to take, because after 19 years of 9/11 wars and budget decline, we have got to catch up, because there's been erosion of our military capabilities, and we're doing absolutely the right thing by pouring money into defense.
General, great to see you. Thank you so much for the insight and the
Good
history.
talking, Dagan.
And it's always a pleasure and always informative, General Jack Keane. Thank you.